Today on CityCast Chicago. Yeah, we've all heard the insults that Chicago deep dish isn't real pizza. Even some Chicagoans will tell you it's just for the tourists. But as a Chicagoan, I'm here to say I had Illuminati's deep dish this weekend just because, and it was damn good. I even heated it up the next day. So we revisited our conversation from earlier this spring to dispel some deep dish myths and give you some recs on where to get it. It's Wednesday, October 18th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. I feel like every week there's another conversation about what do real Chicagoans do? Where do they go? What do they like for entertainment? What do they like to eat? And there's so many rules, especially when it comes to deep dish pizza. You constantly hear that, no, that's for the tourists. No, that's for special occasions. And maybe that's true. But I don't think we spend enough time talking about the people who actually love them some deep dish pizza. So we got Carrie Shepard, lead producer Simone Alisea, marketing coordinator Jermaine Thomas, and our newsletter editor Sydney Madden. And we're going to have a little conversation about who likes deep dish, who doesn't, the whys. But what's also your favorite thing that makes a good pizza? And as always, we wouldn't be CityCast Chicago if we didn't give you places around the city for you to try these pizzas. Carrie, I want to bring you in here first, right? I want you to kick this conversation off because I know you, and you don't mind some deep dish pizza. Tell the people why.
I don't mind some deep dish pizza at all. First of all, anything with lots of cheese and bready, I am definitely here for. And I would say, you guys know, I'm not a foodie. I don't really love thinking about food all the time, talking about food, whatever. I don't usually have very strong opinions on it. But I would say that sometimes nothing hits like a good piece of deep dish pizza. Like it can, especially when the crust gets
oh my God, already the faces. I know we audio podcast, but the faces. Jermaine's already got the eyebrows going. Like
Sydney gave you a dirty look.
Like,
that was
side eye.
Side eye.
It's okay, Sid.
It's okay. I
Sid,
feel what you feel, Sydney. That's the point of the conversation.
Listen, I'm not going to bring up deep dish in your
Chicagoans.
performance review. It's fine. It's okay. You don't have to like it. It's fine. So I would say yes. Every once in a while, and I think we all probably have experienced this. Somebody comes to visit, and it's like we gotta get some deep dish pizza because let's be honest, they get thin crust pizza wherever they live, so they want to try it. So lately, our go-to has been Bartoli's. There's one on Ashland over kind of in Westtown. When I was growing up, we used to go to Gino's East, I think the one on Ohio. And then shout out, my dad used to make deep dish pizza when I was growing up every once in a while.
How long did that take? That seemed like really hard.
I don't know. I was just a kid.
How long
I just
did that
showed
take?
up and ate it. I don't know. And he's given us the recipe for the dough. And every time we get sort of ambitious, it's like, I think I'll just buy it. I'll just buy a pizza.
Yeah, I've never had a homemade joint. Never once.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So
I will say it looks difficult to make at the crib. And I don't know if that's one of them things of I don't know if I want to see the sausage getting made type situations because it's a lot of everything. I agree with that. I'm giving that away off the back. It's a lot of everything, a lot of sauce, a lot of cheese, a lot of toppings. But I think that's what makes it our special meals.
You need a special pan.
Jermaine, you trying to get in here already?
I just have to ask, is the energy worth it?
To make pizza?
What, to make it at the crib?
To make a deep dish pizza at the crib, like, you put all the energy into it all the time. You got to knead the dough, got to wait for it to proof. And then you eat it and it's like,
You reap what you sow,
Jermaine.
You
Just
ever made a
describe
brisket at the
cooking to
crib?
me.
Yeah, I'm like brisket is worth it, and that take about 8 hours.
I didn't
with a
say
lot of
I
apple
make
juice.
this. I said my dad made this growing up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was kind of a fun family event because we could top our own. But no, God, cooking's never worth it to me, my friend.
family time is worth it.
Yes,
Like for that,
yes.
I will give you the points and I will lay off.
With that being said, I do think that's a really important aspect of the conversation.
Totally.
Because it's so big and because it's so much, you almost always have to eat it with other people. It's almost always a shared experience. And I think that attachment to special times, you only have it once in a while. I think that gives it some points.
Totally. Agreed. I like the special occasion.
I know we already leveraging the conversation in favor of deep dish, but we do got to hear both sides. That's always important to us, So let's bring in somebody who already has made it clear that they don't care about the energy, the time, and he, conceded a little bit for the fact. I'm being bogus. I'm putting my bias on. Jermaine, what are your feelings about deep dish pizza?
I mean, okay, so here's my thing. I'm from Cleveland. And when I said that, I was like, I'm about to move to Chicago. I'm super excited. The first thing everybody says, like, oh my God, you gotta try deep dish. It's so good. It's like so amazing. Like the deep dish is what Chicago is about. So I'm like, okay, perfect. Like this is awesome. Like I can't wait.
You gotta try.
I'm about to try all the deep dish. Like I'm about to try all the deep dish I can literally try. So imagine my surprise when I move here and I find out that one, it's not good.
So rude.
And then two, a decent amount of Chicagoans don't actually like pizza casserole. I mean, deep dish. They actually don't like deep dish. So it's like, this is all like crazy to me. Like I was ready for the best pizza in my life. I mean, but out of that, I will say I have found some great pizza. Like the Beatrix Market slice is one of my favorite. They got the pepperoni that like crusts up on the ends. It get like nice and crunchy after it come out the big old oven microwave. And then also like Nancy's has a really good like pizza. So I have found some great pizzas in Chicago, but it's definitely not deep dish.
So where have you had it thus far, and how many times did you go back to the well?
And what did you have on it, actually? That also makes a difference.
For sure. So I will run down the laundry list of places I've tried. It's Giordano's. I've had Lou Malnati's. I've had Gino's East. I've had Pequod's. Like, order pizza, quick, run and grabbing a slice or whatever.
Why do you keep getting it if you don't like it? It's a lot of deep dish.
Because there has to be a good one.
Okay.
It has to be a good one out here somewhere.
Pequod's isn't even it's like fancy deep dish. No, you don't like it?
Yeah, it was smooth. I didn't love it. It was great. Like I had it twice.
Okay.
So it's like not terrible. I will order a pizza from them again. And then I also learned about the hack to where you don't get it. You get it uncut. So you cut it at home so the sauce doesn't like sog up the crust, So that's like another thing that I did try. It didn't really help much, but it made it a little bit better.
What specifically don't you like about it? Is it just too much? What gets you about it?
It's I'm not like a huge like sauce person, and I feel like a big part of the deep dish is the sauce, and then it's on top. I really prefer like a good crispy cheese, like a nice brown cheese, good and melty cheese. So like with the cheese being in the middle, it kind of like ruins that experience for me. So I think my biggest gripe is definitely like the sauce on top.
Fair. Fair.
I can understand that.
Hey, it's Steve Dolinsky from the West Loop. I'm the author of a couple of books on pizza and founder of Pizza City Tours and Pizza City Fest and the Pizza City Podcast. Deep dish. I like deep dish. I like when it's done well. The OG style of deep dish, like you'd see at My Pie or Lou's from 1971. Crispy edge, slightly higher along the wall than the middle. Firm enough to pick up, don't need knife and fork. As opposed to deep pan, which is Millie's and Bert's and Pequod's and La Briola, a bit thicker, more bready, even across the top in terms of height. I like that chewiness as well. The most important thing to me in either one of these is optimal bite ratio, OBR. You don't want to have way too much dough, way too much crust, way too much cheese in a bite. You want to have equal amounts of crust, cheese, sauce topping in every bite. And if you can accomplish that, deep dish can be fantastic.
So we heard from Jermaine. We get how you feel, right? You've come to Chicago, so much hype on deep dish pizza. And then it sounds like you put the work in, right? You've gone to multiple places. You've tried it in different ways. But you're not the only person who's not originally from Chicago who's come out with a different opinion on deep dish. So we're bringing in lead producer Simone Alisea. Did deep dish have the same hype when you were moving to Chicago, and how is it delivered?
Yes, I very much. People are like, "Oh, you got to have the deep dish, got to try it." But then it was like immediately upon getting here and meeting people, it was like, "Oh, well, real Chicago, like we don't really get deep dish." Like, "Oh, like you're a tourist if you're going out and you're getting deep dish," which I don't like. I just like immediately reject anything that has to do with here's what a real Chicagoan, quote unquote, does. This is real. This is, you don't belong here if you're doing XYZ. Like, I don't like any of that. So immediately that made me like deep dish even more because it has that reputation. I would say the first time I had it, I had it at Giordano's in Evanston, and I wasn't a huge fan of the stuffed pizza. Giordano's is sort of the like, when we say deep dish is a lot, Giordano's is like the most of the most, right? It's so much cheese and so much bread and so much sauce. I really like Gino's East. I think they have a really, really good sauce, and it's I think it's a good it doesn't feel so much. It feels like everything is in a good proportion. But I really like Pequod's, which, as Carrie said, is like kind of like the fancy. They've got the caramelized crust, but it's just I also just like that location in Lincoln Park. It's just a nice spot. It's a great spot to get a beer and get some deep dish with your friends.
Yep.
I am a defender of deep dish. I love it. I also think like for the same reason I love a movie, like I love musicals. I love big, bright pieces of art. Like sometimes you just want something that's too much, like you want spectacle. You want something new and exciting and big in your life. I just, sometimes you need a little sparkle in your life, and sometimes sparkle comes in the form of melted cheese. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's just how it is.
I agree with you. So you said you
melted cheese beneath sauce?
Yes, obviously.
Because it really, pizza is just really the opposite way. Cheese on top, sauce underneath. It's kind of just they're just kind of flipping it around and putting more and more of each. But I hear you. You don't like that. You do not like that order of ingredients. Of this group of people, I feel like, Sydney, you might be the only person who's tried to make
That's right.
a deep dish pizza at the crib. Simone, have you tried to make one?
No, God, no.
Yeah, right. I think most of us have all agreed that we get it. It is a lot. It is extra. It is spectacle, as Simone has said. But trying it at the crib, Sydney, what was that process like? Did that make you like it more or hate it more?
Yeah, when Carrie was talking about that earlier, I was like, never again. I will not do that again. It was too much work. No, I would not make deep dish pizza again. My deep dish pizza was worse than the other one I've had in my life. The problem was the dough. That was crumbly. I put so much water in it to try to get it to come back together. My boyfriend and I were just talking about that, because I was thinking about this episode. And at the time we gave it a 6 out of 10. And I was thinking back about it. It deserved a 3 out of 10. It was so bad. Like, why did we eat that? We should have thrown it away. It's so nasty.
So growing up here, was deep dish something you and your family had on special occasions? Is that something y'all had when y'all brought families into town to visit?
I have one uncle who is very passionate about deep dish, and he actually gets Lou Malnati's deep dish shipped to him in Michigan, like frozen.
Nice.
So he really likes it. But yeah, growing up, I can't even remember where we went, but I just remember hearing stories about how he would eat a lot of it and his stomach would expand. And so that was always like really scary to me. I just didn't want it. So the first time I had it was actually in Champaign in college.
Even though you grew
Just
up in the
avoided
city.
it off GP. Just
Yeah.
saying no.
I was 18. My friend ordered it at this Giordano's in this like Champaign mall, and he couldn't finish it. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it. Such a mistake. I could not eat for 24 hours. And that's literally not an exaggeration. Like, my stomach was unwell and my stomach expanded like so much. Yeah, and that's kind of it. I don't think food should hurt, and I think deep dish is painful. So everyone should heed that warning.
So between the one time you've tried it and clearly it punched back, and the time you've made it at home. These encompass your entire experience of deep dish pizza.
Yeah, and actually over the weekend I thought about getting deep dish because I was like in preparation for the conversation and do I really not like it? And then I was like, why would I put myself through that again? Like I have these two experiences I can talk about that were unpleasant. I'm not going to do it a third time.
Honestly, Sydney is on the right side of history.
Thank you, Jermaine.
That is what it's supposed to be.
the right side of history.
But as you listen to some of these different options, right? We've shared articles that have, Carrie's talking about Bartoli's. You've heard about Pequod's, right? Art of Pizza. Do you think that maybe, and I'm gonna give a little bit of defense to Giordano's and my spiel just because of nostalgia, but it is without question the most sort of commercialized, replicated version, right, in Chicago, and probably on its own face doesn't do the entire genre, right, give it the most amount of justice. Would you, having listened to other people talk about other places in the city, even give deep dish another try outside of, homemade and, arguably the McDonald's of deep dish?
I guess I would try it. I just know for myself, it's not going to be like a slice sampling. It's going to have to be a bite because I'm not willing to put myself through like that again, I'm just going to go for the flavor and then leave. Because I think it's good. Like, I think it tastes fine. It's pleasant when you eat it. It's just the aftermath is not worth it, in my opinion.
So if there was a restaurant out there that made like a petit four, like bite-sized version of deep dish where you could have like the different toppings and maybe you get like two, that would be an offering that you might partake in.
I would maybe sample that, sure.
My final reason for offering defense to deep dish pizza is because I do think food in general, while it is, laborious to make many of the things that we might like, right? And there are plenty of options for deep dish, and obviously come with its haters and the people who it has hurt. Sydney, I take your experience, I take it to heart. I do think there's something nostalgic linked to deep dish pizza, especially because growing up, it was one of those things that when we asked our parents for fast food, whether it was McDonald's, Giordano's, even just Chinese food from up the street, was always, we got food at home. We got food at home. We got food at home.
I say that now.
Anytime we got Giordano's growing up, it was always linked to something, whether it was a birthday, whether it was hanging out at grandma's house, whether it was like a game night or something. And so something about going back into that restaurant, seeing the box, and you got to get it fresh. It's something about when you open that up and you do, I just remember all of those sort of good times, all of those moments with family, and just, and now, as I've grown up, I've gotten to try other places. And I'll be honest, not a huge fan of Illuminati's deep dish pizza, right? I'll go for the thin crust, but it is too runny for me. It is a food that I do agree needs to be made a particular kind of a way, has to be enjoyed a certain kind of way. And so like Nancy's is a place that I enjoy their deep dish. And then shout out to my boy Chris. We went to Pequod's last week for his birthday, and I got the personal pan, just some sausage, some onion, and some green pepper, and that mug was fire. I don't care what none of y'all talking about, and it did not hurt the next day. It did not suck. It did not punch back. I thought it was, and again, maybe it was tied to the moment. Maybe it was the nostalgia. Maybe it was the fact that you can never actually, if you don't have a reservation, walk into Pequod's and immediately sit down. And so you got to go over to Beck's, which is 2 doors down, and you have to sit there, get a beer, get a drink, and maybe smash the garlic parm wings, which we did as a group. And then by the time we got to Pequod's, we was pretty past our prime at that point. And so maybe that changes the experience. This idea of what real Chicagoans like, I like that we are always trying to move us further and further away from that conversation, even though we understand that not every single person is going to go for deep dish. If you got a favorite place for deep dish, make sure to drop us a text or a voicemail at 773-780-0246. I do want to bring everybody back in here, right? Because one thing that is clear is we all do enjoy some Chicago pizza, whether it's tavern style or if it's deep dish. So I want to know, what is your favorite part? What makes a sort of perfect Chicago pizza for you? Simone, I want to start with you. What's the ingredient needs to be absolutely just right for it to be perfect for you?
So unlike Jermaine, I love the sauce. I think the sauce is so key. The spice, you got the tomatoes. What is the consistency like? If your sauce is off, it's going to set everything else off. And it's just it's the thing that makes the cheese like not hurt you and not feel like it's too much. It's the key to everything, in my opinion.
Sydney, what is the ingredient that makes a pizza for you?
This is kind of a lame answer. I'm going to say pepperoni because it makes me feel like I have protein with the pizza and like I'm hitting different food
That's a great
groups.
answer. That's an excellent anscer.
No, that's
how I like tell
I feel like
myself.
most people would say like the onions and the green peppers to say that they got something healthy out of it. You was like the pepperoni.
Protein.
That's what.
Yeah, like
Right,
not the vegetables. I need the meat.
That's a perfect answer. Jermaine, what is the ingredient that needs to be right for you?
You know, I love bread. So that is my number one, is always the crust. Dipping the crust in like the garlic sauce on the end, like that is top tier. So the crust has got to be right.
Okay. C-Shep, what is your perfect pizza ingredient?
I'm with Jermaine. I can always tell when the crust is, I like to say, made with bad water.
Mm-hmm.
I can always taste if the water is not right and it makes the crust taste weird. And look, one of the reasons that I like deep dish is the gooey cheese and lots of it. Sure, it hurts a little, Sid, as I get older. You're not lying, but it's sometimes worth it.
No pain, no gain, something like that.
Sometimes worth it.
And for me, I've never been shy about my favorite pizza in the city. And, I take the pushback, but it's Italian Fiesta. And the best part of that pizza is the grease. It's the grease. If I could slap a paper towel on the top and it just immediately becomes damp and drenched, that pizza is about to smack. And almost every face on the call is giving me something right now, and I'm cool with that. It's the grease.
Can I tell you what's wild about that answer?
I'm smiling. I'm with you.
What's wild about that
I said, give
answer
me something, just something. Everybody's reacted. That's
is
what matters.
it's not a specific oil. It's not butter. It's not olive oil. It's not cheese like melting. It's just grease.
Grease.
Hey, it's Monica Eng, longtime Chicago food reporter and Axios Chicago reporter. When it comes to deep dish, I don't hate it. And I do have it when friends come to town and they want to go to Uno or Due or Lou Malnati's. And I did love it as a kid when I would go to birthday parties and we would all gather at a Lou Malnati's in Lincolnwood or something. I especially like it the next day when you can kind of crisp it up in a cast iron pan. And I like those big knobby bits of sausage on there. Again, not my go-to for every day when you need to feed a crowd, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not something I eat every day, but lots of happy memories.
Hey, CityCast Chicago, it's Louisa Chu, food critic at the Chicago Tribune. So you want to know if I like deep dish pizza? No, I love it. First, we've got to start with the historic Pizzeria Uno, where I actually took a deep dish making class and learned how to make that really crispy pie shell crust. And it was fantastic. Then you've got Bert's Place in Morton Grove, where my late friend, the Bert Katz, perfected the pan pizza with the caramelized crust, which is an ascendant style of its own in the deep dish category. And then you've got his spiritual pizza godson, Millie's Pizza in the Pan. You will learn to love pineapple on pizza at Millie's. George's Deep Dish in Edgewater, where George Mamberes names every pizza after a famous George, and it's fantastic, and I love them all.
Before I let you go, for more news and events, including a breakdown of misconduct allegations facing Chicago City Treasurer and her run for Congress, head over to our website at chicago.citycast.fm. That's also where you can subscribe to our Hey Chicago newsletter, and you can copy that link, send it to all your friends and family. Just drop it in the group chat if you haven't already. Put people on CityCast. You let them know that every episode I'm going to lead them with some good news. The Slow and Low Chicago Lowrider Festival is back this Saturday at Navy Pier. You can see over 300 cars, motorcycles, and bikes. Last year, we talked with fest organizer Edward Magic Calderon. You can catch a link in the show notes for the episode and more information on tickets. As always, we appreciate you for reading and listening. I'm going to talk to you bright and early tomorrow. Peace. 1, he's wrong. 2, very disrespectful. 3, I get it.